Hi, everybody. This is David Skarica, Stock Chart of the Day. So many of you, I've done interviews with Jason in the past, and it's been as my former publication, Addicted to Profit. So I've decided to change things because the issue I've had for years now is I kind of went more into consulting, raising money for companies, etc. I think that a lot of the paid newsletter subscription thing is kind of dead, especially printed, like written word. And I prefer doing these videos. I can explain myself better, etc. So I always had this idea for this stock chart of the day thing, where you just have a weekly chart, or sorry, daily chart. You talk about a theme for the day. Maybe a company has earnings. Maybe there's an economic report. So I just don't leave it to charts. Maybe I'll talk about a currency is a big move. I'll kind of talk about the theme for that day. And then I'll have a weekly report for my Patreon members where we'll talk about trading ideas, the kind of themes for that week, stocks we like, do updates on them, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of an information-based service. I do have corporate sponsors. And then for the Patreon members, obviously they're sponsor free, and then we can talk about what happened. So usually in Stock Chart of the Day, I very go with the flow. I just do a screen share of, whatever, my Google Chrome. And if I have an idea, then I can just stream it to another thing. But I do have the first part of this, I do have a presentation I want to do for you. And then after that, we're gonna kind of flow into show you what Stock Chart of the Day is typically like, and show you more examples, et cetera, et cetera. So we're gonna start with my kind of my go with the flow here, which is we're gonna look at my PowerPoint presentation here that we're gonna start out with, and then we'll kind of go from there, as we go on here. So this is the PowerPoint presentation. So this is the special, video for Main Street for Wall Street. So we're going to show you the kind of themes we kind of talked to in this. So the two themes we're going to have today are that a minority of stocks are driving the S&P 500. We'll show you a couple of charts of these stocks and why they may be potentially topping out, why that's bad for the indices, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're going to talk about gold, and then we're going to flow into kind of what the typical stock chart of the day is, and talk about gold, precious metals, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the S&P right here. So there's a big 7 in the S&P, and those would be Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, NVIDIA, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of the usual suspects. So they would say Google, and those 7 stocks have made up are up more than 50% of the S&P, or they're up more than 50%, and the rest of the S&P you can see is up like 5%. So the other 493 stocks are basically flat, and that's after a bear market year last year. So that a lot of these stocks have not even budged, and a lot of sectors like a lot of the travel sector, airlines, casinos, cruise ships, they have all completely tanked in the last few months and are doing very poorly. So we can see actually even at the bottom of the most recent correction, like a week or two ago, actually most of the S&P was flat, year to date. And again, that's after a bad year last year. So we can see these 7 stocks also make up almost 30% of the S&P. This is even more than the big tech stocks made up in 2000. Back then when Microsoft, Lucent, Oracle, those WorldCom, those kind of companies were the hot companies. So you can see at the top in 2022, before the market declined, it was 29%, and now it's almost 30%. Now, a lot of people keep saying, oh, if the rest of the market catches up, we'll have a great rally. That usually doesn't happen. When these big stocks kind of drive the gains, it's usually a real sign that that the market is about to sort of roll over, and because usually it's a sign that the market is very narrow and not going to continue to rally. So and that sort of thing. So it's usually a negative sign, and usually these stocks tend to catch down to the market if that's the case. If it continues to kind of roll over. So anyhow, if we go look at here, you can see NVIDIA here. NVIDIA is one, of course, is the darling right now with the whole AI boom, et cetera, et cetera. But it looks like NVIDIA is starting to put in a top topping formation. We even zoom in here, you can see that NVIDIA has a potential head and shoulders top, with 500 being the head and 475 being the shoulder. I think if you get a decline of NVIDIA below 400, it's definitely a sign of a topping formation, and you may close this gap, which happened when the whole AI boom kind of took off. So NVIDIA kind of rolled over there, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, kind of quickly roll over here. And again, in our paying Patreon members version, we kind of have ideas for NVIDIA and how to play this on the short side. And it's a very simple idea. It's an ETF. The average retail person can do it. It doesn't take a lot of leverage. You could use a stop loss to limit less losses, et cetera, et cetera. So then we kind of look at Microsoft here, and you can see Microsoft's kind of been trending lower. It got back to the highs. And of course, cloud computing, et cetera, has driven Microsoft's game. But what I kind of want to show you with these stocks, even though they've driven most of the games, they're showing signs of kind of topping out here, kind of like they did again in late 2021. Apple, it doesn't look like this new iPhone is really going to take off for Apple. And you can see this definite downtrend in Apple here, and of lower lows and lower highs, again, since the summer, since the market topped. So it does look like these big stocks, which have kind of driven the market, are starting to roll over, So then we flip over to gold. So, of course, we've had this conflict now escalating in Israel and Gaza, and gold has kind of caught a bid from it. But it happened at the exact time when gold usually seasonally bottoms. You can see, which is right here in mid-September. And then this rally occurs all the way into next February, and many times actually continues into the May to July period. And what we can see here is from this, now we're not out of the woods yet. Maybe there'll be one more correction lower into late October, mid-November. But again, this kind of whole conflict, which again turned around gold, we saw a huge weekly reversal. All the losses that happened in the last week of September will reverse last week. And the gold stocks are starting to firm up, et cetera, et cetera. So it does look like gold is going to begin this. And remember, last year, as we're going to show you in a second here, when gold started its seasonal low, back in the time frame of the October period, which I'll show you, gold was 1,600. So it got back up to that 2,100 high. Now we're coming from a much higher base. So maybe because we're close enough to the highs in gold, we can actually break out on this space. So I'm going to stop this, and now we're going to screen share. So this is what stock chart of the day is usually like. I usually just screen share, my Chrome page. I prefer this. I don't like these structured presentations. I like to kind of go with the flow. And that way, if I have an idea, I can say, oh, yeah, by the way, and I can move on to something else. So see, it's very fluid. I'll show you my stock chart of the day page where you can kind of look at that, et cetera, all my videos. So again, what we usually do is we have 4 to 5 stock chart of the days that are free. And then we'll have 1 to 2. Usually, we always have 1 on the weekend. And if the markets are showing a lot of volatility and I think it's worth it, I'll do kind of an emergency update during the week. And in those Patreon paid member ones, we talk about trading ideas. I've got 3 beaten up stocks I really like right now. Last week, I talked about a bunch of junior mining and mining companies I liked because gold looks like it could be bottoming here, et cetera, et cetera. So again, we go look at the seasonality, go look at 2018, perfect kind of bottom in that October timeframe, had a big rally up into the summer of the following year. Again, another bottom in that October kind of timeframe in 2019, and then rallied into the middle of the following year. Now, it didn't quite work in 2020, but you can see if you had bought at that bottom in 2020 and gotten out in that spring period, or even if you missed that, at the worst, you would have been flat, slightly up. And again, in 2021, you can see right again, like clockwork in that fourth quarter, the bottom, the rally here into kind of the spring period. And then last year, the same thing, the bottom in October and the rally into kind of the April, May period. So, and again, now look at, this is the highest low we have seen this whole time frame here. So that bodes well. And with this triple top here that we have seen gold, if we blow that out, it's kind of like if we go back further in gold, back to this, it looks like this time frame here when gold just couldn't break 1,400. in 2017, 2018, or 2016, 2017, 2018, and then boom, when it broke into 2019, gold went nearly 50% higher in 2020. So if we break this kind of top formation here, I do think we'll go to 3,000 or so on gold. And again, with another war starting, more spending, probably more printing of money. We're probably at the low of the inflationary cycle right now. These are things we cannot all discuss right now, but it does look very good. And again, if we go look at the gold stocks, it's the same. It's kind of the same here. We kind of have been consolidating since the 2020 highs, and the same kind of seasonality. You can see the rally here in late 2019, sorry, 2018 to 2019, and then 20 above here, and then another nice rally here in the first half of 2022, and then the rally here into the first half of 2023. So again, if we can finally see a rally from these kind of higher lows here, maybe we can potentially finally break out through this downtrend and the whatnot. So, and then there's plenty of gold stocks that are cheap. I do a lot in junior mining, like also for my lifetime members, I offer opportunities in private placements and the whatnot. So then let's just now quickly look at so this is an example of kind of like what we talk about. Of course, we wouldn't talk about as much of this in detail. Stock chart of the day, we would talk about, say, one theme. They're 5-10 minute charts. They're every day. So it doesn't take a lot out of your day, et cetera, et cetera. So this is examples of this. So this is, if you go to, it's just youtube.com/ScottDay. That's the YouTube page. And like, for example, this was a video I did back in the spring, and we talked about the marijuana and stocks. You can see, and many of these stocks went up hundreds and hundreds of percent till we took some profits here in the fall. So I talked about maximum pessimism and John Templeton buying beaten up assets, et cetera, et cetera. So that, I did this 4 months ago, go to my stock chart of the day, you'll see, when I posted this, and you can watch this video and just judge for yourself. This is another video. This is another theme that I've been on for quite a while. It's a very interesting video. This is the bubble in investment grade, corporate bonds. I talk about, you saw McDonald's there. I talk about how they're kind of the bubble. All these corporations issue too much debt to take advantage of cheap money. They're too over leveraged. And as interest rates have been rising, these corporations will not be able to handle the higher interest rate on their balance sheets, on their, they're not making enough money to cover that. And it's really going to hurt these companies as they have to roll over these bonds in a couple of years. And I talk about a trade, this being buying puts on the LQD as a way to kind of play this. So these are the example of these kind of macro charts or macro ideas that I do. I go into details like to prove it. Like I show the bonds of McDonald's as an example of McDonald's, of a company taking advantage of cheap money and now being over leveraged, et cetera, et cetera. So this is, again, my stock chart of the day Patreon. You can see it's just Patreon stock chart, / stock chart of the day. Right now I only have 4 videos because I've restricted some of the old videos that I had for free. They're the members only ones. So these member only videos, you can see, look at here, gold stocks to look at. These are some of the stocks I like down here. I don't want to go too quick. You may see them right there, but for ideas, but I go into more details of it. And the Patreon, just so you know, it's only $8, or sorry, it's only $7 a month. That's the main Patreon. Forget this $8 a month. I was doing it a while ago, and the $8 a month was, I have one member on it. I got to tell, I got to cancel. I won't get into the details of that. So this is the $7 a month. Obviously, I can't subscribe to it. So I always tell people it's 23 cents a day. It's basically 1 or 2 coffees a month from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. I think you're going to get a lot more interest off this. And it's a way of also supporting the channel. If you watch these videos, if you like the free videos that I have, well, then, also you're kind of supporting me being able to do that by becoming a paid Patreon member, and et cetera, et cetera. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of the S&P, of gold, of showing you my kind of page. I'll obviously send Jason the link So obviously, also, if we go look at, my stock chart of the day page, this, the stock, just go to at stock day. We'll just look at the actual youtube.com at stock day. If you go here, please sign up. Just to watch the videos. You don't have to subscribe. I mean, you don't have to, subscribe to my Patreon right away. Make a decision for yourself. See if you like it. You'll see I've got slew videos here. That you can do. I'm actually, right after I do this video for Jason, I'm going to do my stock chart of the day today. Some of them are 5 minutes, some of them are 9 minutes, some are 16 minutes, depending on how much I want to talk, etc., etc. So I hope you enjoy this. Like I said, I don't think $7 a month is a lot of money, and also, like, again, I think you'll enjoy, just the information I've posted, from everything to, Japanese interest rates and currency, to corporate bonds, to buying beaten up assets, etc., etc. So everybody, take care. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you subscribe to Stock Chart of the Day. It's Scott Day, again, YouTube/Scott Day. And I hope you become a Patreon member ultimately. Thank you very much.